800 that Qatar wants to gift him because Boeing can't do their job and build the new Air Force One. They're way behind, delayed, and all kinds of stuff. Boeing's having a lot of issues. So Qatar is gifting one of their 747-800s, which is newer than, of course, the current Air Force One. And the Democrats are just having a fit. They think it's a conflict of interest. Well, in reality, it's not, because if I read correctly, they are giving it to the Department of Defense as a new Air Force One for the president. They're not necessarily gifting it directly to President Trump. I could be wrong, but I believe that's what I read. But nevertheless, I'm not sure what the big deal is, because the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia gifted President Clinton with a $17 million helicopter that he still uses to this day. So I'm a little confused by the hypocrisy of the Democrats being upset about Qatar gifting President Trump a 747-800, but they had no issues with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia gifting President Clinton a brand new $17 million helicopter. I'm confused. I mean, I understand one is more expensive than the other, but if you're so worried about conflict of interest, then why weren't you worried about that when the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia gave President Clinton a brand new $17 million helicopter? They're hypocrites. So I understand some people have an issue because it may look like he's taking a bribe, but he's not. Again, if I've read correctly, they are gifting it to the Department of Defense as an interim Air Force One until Boeing finally gets off whatever was wrong with them, and they finally, produce the two Air Force Ones they're working on. Because the current Air Force One is 40 plus years old. So, yeah. So, I don't get that, but, it is what it is. Again, that's if he accepts it. We'll see. He says from what I've also read, I believe he said he would accept it. But like I said, he hadn't gotten to Qatar yet. I don't know if he's going there next or he's going to UAE next. But nevertheless, that's a controversy that's not a controversy, because again, the Democrats are being hypocritical, as they always are these days. His Middle East trip, from what I've seen, has been going well. He got a $600 billion financial deal with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I believe a good portion of that is military deal as well, military, economic. It's a multi-faceted financial deal, but it's $600 billion. That's a lot, and I believe the prince is trying to get it to $1 trillion. So while he was there in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, it was a state visit, but I think it was an economic forum, and then he sat on the Gulf something group, just the Gulf states, and he talked with them as well. So he had a busy day or so there in Saudi Arabia. I listened to the speech. I thought it was a good speech. It started off kind of iffy, but he got into his stride, and it was a pretty good speech. pretty good speech, and so it was received pretty well by the companies that were there: Amazon, Google, OpenAI, NVIDIA. There was a lot of, it was a financial forum, so there was a lot of CEOs there, as well as, of course, the Saudis were there, of course, all the princes, all the government officials and whatnot. Prince Mohammed, who is the prime minister, is the one that President Trump was and is very friendly with and talked gushingly about. So it was a pretty good day. We'll see how Qatar and the UAE thing goes, and we'll just see. We'll see if he takes that little detour to Turkey on Thursday. I don't think he's going to have time. I know he said the Secretary of State's going to be there, but yeah, so I don't know if he'll make an appearance or not, so we'll see. And then another thing that's coming up in the news, that young lady I said in my last video that used the N-word is, from what I've seen, a larger issue, a larger cultural issue that some in the black community are calling black fatigue. And the reason they're doing that is because a certain group are tired of the fact that the current black culture is not indicative of, quote unquote, the real black culture, and that the lady that used the N-word is indicative of the current black culture, using it on an everyday basis in music videos, in movies, in regular speech. As I pointed out on the last video, my brother-in-law uses it all the time, even with me. I don't use it, and I refuse to use it because I look at it as derogatory. When my brother-in-law calls me that particular name, it doesn't bother me, because I know he doesn't mean it in a derogatory way. But I know, as a white person, if I were to use it, even though there are some people that do use it, it would not be a pleasant experience for me. So I have enough wisdom and common sense to know that that word is not meant for other cultures to use, even though the culture that uses it, it's a derogatory term towards that culture that uses that word. So what they've done is they've taken a derogatory word and use it as a regular word in the vernacular, that particular culture. Now, we as whites and Hispanics and Asians can't use it, even though I know whites, Hispanics, and Asians who do use it. But if we use it, then there are certain people in black culture that will just go absolutely just wild and crazy over the fact that we use it, even though they use it. So, like I said in my last video, it's very hypocritical. And what it is just a small portion of the current black culture that some, and a growing group of blacks in the black culture are tired of, and other cultures are tired of, because they're like, well, y'all use it all the time, but then if we say it, and again, some people are saying it to mean it as a derogatory term. Some people are not, because they see that they use it, and so what, you know, I don't know if it's, I wouldn't call it necessarily a term of endearment, but when others use it in the same way that blacks use it amongst themselves, they get ridiculed. You know, and then I saw, was it Mark Lamont Hill? I saw a video of him. I think he was on Piers Morgan, along with what's his name from Fresh and Fit, and some white lady. And that white lady has no, she says that she had no issue with using it. Now she probably might be racist, and the commentator has said, she's like, I respect her only in the fact that at least she let you know up front who she is. Because there's too many people that use it in a derogatory way that won't admit the fact that they're either racist or, you know, whatever. At least she's letting you know up front. But Mark Lamont Hill went just out, he almost cried. It was an absolute joke, because he's like, you know, he gets called it all the time. So why would it bother you if you get called it all the time? And you probably get called it all the time by people of your own skin color and culture more than white people. So why would it bother you? And the commentator's like, why would you let one word bother you? It has lost its sting. It's lost its, whatever it was meant, whatever it was used for back in the day, it's lost all that. It has no meaning anymore. You know, it's been reduced to just a word, because the culture that that particular word was meant to be derogatory to now uses it in the regular vernacular. So it's lost all its sting. So she's like, why does it bother you? Why you let a word bother you? There's more important things to worry about. And I agree. And so there's a segment of the population, not only that, but that the black culture is much more matriarchal, and that's ruining that culture, that because men aren't leading the way they're meant to be, because of the epidemic and single mothers and so on and so forth. There's plenty of videos of women going off and being overly emotional in front of their children. It's just a whole lot of things that they're highlighting and they're tired of. And so we'll see. We'll see, you know, if this thing carries on or gets bigger. But it's definitely a growing, you know, movement in some sectors of the black culture, because they're just tired of being embarrassed by the few that are acting crazy. And it's reflective of the whole black culture, and it's not supposed to be. Well, that's all I have to say right now. I might come back on later on this evening. But until then, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Appreciate every one of you. And until next time, God bless you.